Welcome to the Core Happiness Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Banks, a mindset and positive psychology coach. On this podcast, we discuss all things related to creating happiness from within. So, let's do it. Hello and welcome. We have made it. It's the end of the year. We only have a couple of weeks left, and I find that December is a time, whether we intend to or not, we tend to reflect on the past year. And as we approach the end of the year, I want us to not just reflect on the past year, but also think about the art of forgiveness, both for ourselves and for others, and also how to move beyond any disappointments that we may have faced this year. Because the truth is, the ending of a year can be an emotional time, and that can be feeling excitement. It could be feeling indifferent. Maybe it's a little sadness. Maybe your heart's a little bit heavy about what transpired this past year, and that's okay. It's completely natural. So in this episode, I want to talk about how to channel those feelings into something healing and purposeful and empowering. And my hope is that by the end of this episode, you feel inspired and equipped with all the tools you need to let go of any of those burdens so you can just greet the new year with hope and with open arms. So let's dive in. First, I want to talk about the power of self-reflection. As I studied positive psychology under Martin Seligman, I can tell you that reflection isn't just about looking back. It's about finding meaning, learning, setting intentions, right? It's a tool that allows us to grow and learn and ultimately become more in tune with ourselves. And studies show that self-reflection can improve mental health and increase self-awareness. So one study that was done in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that people who engage in regular self-reflection report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. By reviewing the year and identifying both the highs and the lows, we're able to gain insight into what worked well and then maybe what didn't. I like to think of it as like a personal inventory that helps us understand ourselves better. So how do we do it? A couple of tips that I noted here are, one, and I always say this, start with gratitude. Just write down a few things that you're thankful for the past year. Even if this year was not a great year for you, even if this year did not meet your expectations, find something, anything that was positive. You woke up every day. That's a positive. You made it through. That's a positive. There's something positive. So start with writing down things that you're thankful for this past year. Your friends, your family. Maybe it's the ability to make a living. Maybe it's the ability that you were able to pay all your bills. Whatever it is. Gratitude reframes your mindset. So focus on those positives first. Next, review your goals. Look back on any goals that you set at the beginning of the year. Did you reach them? Did your priorities shift? What happened with those goals? Reflecting on those goals, whether you achieve them or not, just helps to provide insight into what matters to you, right? If you are able to achieve them, you might be able to point at what drove you, what was your motivation. If your priority shifted, if things came up, that also gives you insight into what happened, why they shifted, why your priorities changed. Sometimes that can give us insight into our values. Did our values change? So just look back at your goals. And then number 3 is identify those growth moments. What were those moments that challenged you? How did you grow from them? What did you learn from them? Reflection on growth really just helps us highlight resilience, and it helps us see the struggles as stepping stones, right? Because everything is just forward movement. Even if it feels like there were struggles, even if it felt like there were obstacles and challenges, they're still stepping stones to forward movement, even if it feels like a step back. Because you're still learning and you're growing, right? Those are the growth moments. So identify what those moments were when you look back over your year. Now, as you reflect over the past year, you might confront some memories or some moments that didn't go as planned. Maybe it's the goals we didn't reach, or maybe it's actions that we regret. And this is where the self-forgiveness comes in, because forgiveness is a very important part of letting go so you don't carry the baggage and the burden into the new year. And often we are harsher on ourselves than we are on others, which can be a huge burden to carry into a new year. Okay. So forgiveness for yourself has real benefits. There was a research that was done by Stanford University, and it showed that self-forgiveness reduces anxiety and depression while increasing emotional well-being. And isn't that how we want to end this year? We want to get rid of the anxiety. We want to reduce that depression. We want to focus on our emotional well-being as we head into a new year. And forgiving yourself doesn't mean you're excusing mistakes. It means accepting them, learning from them, and moving forward. It's reducing that weight of self-judgment and embracing the mindset of growth. And you can do that in 3 ways. Number 1, acknowledge and accept it. It's okay to have highs and lows. It's okay to have peaks and valleys. We all do. And it's so important because without the valleys, without the lows, you wouldn't appreciate the highs. Think about it from another perspective of someone who grew up with everything handed to them. Just a very fortunate luxury life where they didn't really have to work hard for things because things were handed to them. Versus someone who may have grown up without things handed to them. They had to work really hard to get anything, just for survival needs, maybe it's money, whatever. They had to really work for it. Nothing was handed to them. You have these 2 individuals. And if these 2 individuals were to look at, let's say, the value of $1, the individual who had to really work hard to gain that dollar is going to really appreciate the value of that dollar. It's going to mean more, right? Whereas the person who came from a family or situation where they didn't have to work for it, everything was just handed for them, they're going to look at that dollar and they're not going to really see as much there, right? It's $1. It's great. Sure. But the appreciation from the person who really had to put in the hard work is so much more. And so sometimes I want people to think about it from that perspective, because if you're constantly at a high and you're constantly experiencing peaks, at some point, those peaks are no longer peaks. You become desensitized, right? You become desensitized. You don't look at them as peaks anymore. It just becomes normal. The person who is experiencing the lows and the valleys, when they reach those peaks, it's so much sweeter for them. It's the appreciation because it came from something and reached another point. So when you have highs and lows, it really balances out the perspective. It's part of the human experience. So it's okay if things didn't go as planned. It's okay if you made mistakes. That doesn't define your worth. It's making you a better human being because you overcame them, you're resilient, and it's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to let go of that self-judgment. So acknowledge and accept, and then practice self-compassion. We already know that studies show that self-compassion boosts that resilience and self-worth. So be kind to yourself, especially when you're reviewing areas where you feel that you may have fallen short and you didn't come through this year the way you thought this year was going to go. It's okay. Talk to yourself as you would your friend. Say, you know what? There's always next year. What did I learn? I'm going to take everything that I learned from this year and I'm going to put it into next year. And then the 3rd step is rewrite your story. Think about how the experience contributed to your growth. Write it down from a growth perspective. What did you learn about yourself? What are you determined to change moving forward? You know, the saying of be the change that you want to see. What do you want to see? Who do you want to be moving forward? Change always starts with you. That's number 1. People often think that when my life changes, when my life gets better, I'll feel happier, I'll feel more complete. But it's actually the opposite. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that when we change, our life changes, and nothing changes until we change. So I want everyone to think about that as we're closing out this year. What change do you want to see? And I'm sure you're listening to me right now and you're like, that sounds great. But honestly, when I look back on my year, it's really other people who have made this year hard for me. And I get it. I understand that. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about any resentment that we're holding, because forgiving others can be one of the hardest things to do, but it can also be the most liberating. So we often carry that resentment and disappointment with us, which affects our well-being. Like there was even a study done in the Journal of Health Psychology that showed that by simply forgiving others, and I say simply, sometimes it's easier said than done, but forgiveness can lower our stress levels so much and improve our mental health so much that it even makes our immune system stronger. It's the freeing of the burden And when you forgive, you're choosing to prioritize your peace of mind over holding on to the pain. So forgiveness isn't even about excusing hurtful actions from somebody else. It's about prioritizing your wellness and peace of mind. If this is you and you're like, yeah, I hold a lot of resentment from this past year or from people who have wronged me, start with acknowledging those feelings. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. Let those feelings surface. Identify them and validate those emotions. Because sometimes we just skip that. We just want to push everything down. Everything's fine. I'm just going to keep going like nothing's bothering me. It doesn't work that way. Acknowledge your feelings. Let them surface. It's essential for releasing them. And when we talk about acknowledging your feelings, when we talk about letting it surface, we're not talking about actions. The action is acknowledging and giving yourself permission to feel your emotions. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to feel the pain. And then what you do is you take those emotions and then look for the lesson. What was the takeaway from the experience? What did I learn from this experience? How can I grow from this experience? Often when we have conflicts, it can reveal what we need to learn about our values or what we need to learn about setting boundaries. Setting boundaries are perfectly okay. Do you need to set a boundary with someone? Do you need to step back from someone? And then release it and reframe it. Because here's the truth of the matter is you don't need to reconcile with someone to forgive them. To be honest, if you don't even want to talk to a person again, you don't have to forgive them. You can release your resentment by just focusing on how you want to grow from it. Because here's the thing, we cannot change other people. As much as we may try, it's never going to work. We cannot change other people, but we can control how we react to things. And when you forgive, you're taking control and setting yourself free. Let's move on to overcoming disappointments and setting new intentions, because I've heard a lot from this year about people who are just disappointed about things that transpired or expectations not being met, that this year just has really brought up a lot of pain and sadness that stemmed from disappointment. It could have been goals. It could have been relationships that didn't go well. It could be anything. But disappointments, again, are natural. It's how we handle them that can either help or hinder how we move forward. And when I talked about the peaks and the valleys, when I talked about the highs and the lows, understanding that and embracing that as part of your journey will allow you to learn and refocus. You're not always going to be at a peak. You're not always going to be at the low, but hopefully you will get to a point where there's balance. Now, positive psychology suggests that the importance of a growth mindset is seeing setbacks as opportunities to learn rather than failures. And the shift in that perspective is incredibly powerful, and it can transform how you see your reflection, your end of the year reflection, and can transform how you end your year and how you enter into your new year. So it's really important to move beyond these disappointments, to release them, let them go. When we think about expectations, I want you to start thinking about defining success. So instead of focusing solely on outcomes, this is the outcome that I expect. Consider what you learned and think about success not as just achieving a goal, but as growth along the way, as part of your journey. When I talk about like the stepping stone, think about it as just a step to get you to the next place, right? We're not trying to go from A to Z. Sometimes we're like A1, A2, A3, A4, then B, right? Like sometimes they're just small steps. So redefine what success means to you. And instead of focusing solely on the outcomes, consider the learning opportunities. Consider the small steps that are helping you get to where you want to be. Then set growth-based goals. So when you enter into the new year, you can have goals that are rooted in growth. And so your goals will be things like, what skills or habits can I develop? Instead of, what do I want to achieve this year? It's, what new skills, what new habits can I develop? So focus on those steps as opposed to the end goal. What are the steps and the goals that we want to accomplish? And then practice building that resilience. Resilient people are more successful in the long run because they go through those small, consistent actions, like reframing setbacks and focusing on progress over perfection. Those small, consistent actions are what build resilience. So again, focus on the steps in between instead of just the big, large goals. That will truly help temper expectations, and clarify your intention. And the last thing I want to talk about is preparing for the new year. After you've taken the time to reflect on this past year, and after you've taken the time to release the burdens of disappointment, then you focus on preparing for the new year. Now, what does that mean? It just really means being open to new beginnings. When you think about what you're looking for in the new year, and when you think about what goals or what steps you want to achieve or what you want to learn, anything aligned with your values are going to be more motivating and fulfilling than anything that's not. And when we set intentions that resonate deeply with our sense of purpose, what we truly value, we're going to stay committed, enthusiastic about them. So when you start to prepare for the new year, you want to come into the new year strong, start with defining your core values. And I say defining because you've already had core values, but they may have changed. They may have shifted. So ask yourself, what matters most to me? And then as you think about the next year and you think about what you want to learn, what you want to accomplish, how you want to grow, align those goals with the values. That is what's going to create your sense of purpose moving forward. And then I don't want to go too deep into the power of manifestation, but it's where you're pointing your energy to, right? What you appreciate appreciates. So try creating a vision board. Visual representation helps make goals feel tangible. And research shows us that visualization activates the brain's reward systems, making you more likely to take action. And here's the other part that we know is that science has proven that when we are in a space mentally, our brain will start to activate the same reward center as if we were already achieving that goal. That's a lot of what visualization is. When you can visualize it and be super specific. Don't just write down something broad of, I want abundance and money. Be very specific. What are you doing to make that money? How does it feel once you have that money? And it doesn't have to be about money. It could be about sense of purpose. What mark do I want to leave on the world? How am I going to feel once I achieve that? Where am I? Like literally, where am I? What's my location? What do I see? What do I smell? Who's with me? Be as detailed as possible because you want it to feel so tangible that your brain already starts thinking, yep, we're there. And then once you have that detailed visualization, plan out those small steps. Again, break those big goals down to manageable actions. It doesn't matter how small they need to be because every step is a step forward. And then celebrate those wins along the way, and that will help you stay motivated throughout the year. And then last is practice mindfulness. Focus on being present as much as you can in this new year. It's so easy to focus on the future, but that creates a lot of anxiety. And here's the thing about it is, while we can plan for some things, we can never actually control the future. One thing that you can do is based in the here and now, and that's presence. So be present in the moment as much as you can and work towards your goals while mindfulness keeps you grounded. And then reflect regularly. Schedule some time, whether it's every month, maybe every quarter, whatever it is. Schedule time to review your goals and your progress. That will reinforce your growth. It keeps you aligned, and then it allows you to adjust as needed. So if something happens in the new year that knocks you off course or another disappointment, you'll be able to adjust easier. That's all I have for you today. As we wrap up this episode, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of year-end reflection, forgiveness, and preparation for the year ahead. Remember, it isn't about leaving the past year behind. It's about learning from it, embracing growth, and then stepping into the new year with hope, hopefully more clarity, but mainly just excitement. We do have a year-end reflection guide on the website, which you can download for free at corehappiness.com/resources. And remember, no matter what happened this past year, you have the power to shape the future you want. So the best is yet to come. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Core Happiness podcast this year. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with someone who might find it helpful. I wish you a wonderful holiday, a beautiful end of the year, and may the new year bring you renewed energy, a sense of purpose, and the courage to pursue your dreams. I thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to rate it or leave a review. If you have any thoughts or questions, I would love to hear from you. You can email podcast@corehappiness.com. For show notes and additional resources, you can visit www.corehappiness.com. As always, please remember, never let anyone diminish your light. Until next time, sending you my love.